You find us at the ICASA headquarters in Centurion this afternoon with the regulator just pushing through with these hearings into a satellite. And we see them really gathering role players within the industry to give their account in terms of what they've been picking up, but also to add on to work that is underway in terms of looking at reviewing legislation and frameworks around the licensing and how then we see some of these issues around satellite and in the country, the service providers just coming through in this space. So we see various of those role players just coming through. Earlier on, we had MultiChoice that was presenting here, giving us their submissions. Various of those companies expected also to come through in the afternoon just to give us a sense of how then they are receiving some of these developments around this space, and others just looking at even just the tightening of legislation in ensuring that we don't then do away with the act altogether. But one of those organizations that was presenting earlier on is the ACT, and they're here with us to give us a sense of how then they are really looking at adding to these developments around the act, but also issues around satellite in the country. And here we have Mr. Pila Sitole, who will join us and give us a sense of the work and their submissions that you've just had in there. And we're seeing you saying that it should not be a singled out framework, but there should be a holistic approach in terms of ensuring that at least we tighten measures and we level the playing field for all of those that are players in this industry. Welcome to the SABC. Maybe let's start with you giving us a sense of how important is it that we see the regulators zooming into some of these developments coming out of the industry, and what it would be then your participation as the ACT here today. Welcome to the SABC.
Oh, thank you very much. Katlego. So ACT is an association of comms and technology. This is a very important inquiry, and as you know, there have been a lot of development about satellite services coming into a country. As technology changes, there's a lot of substitute services that are coming into the ICT sector, and it's actually an interesting space. However, we have been calling for the holistic review of regulation to catch up with the technology development that we experiencing in our times, where we find ourselves that the telecommunication space is evolving, and you have telecommunication, you have satellite, you have terrestrial services that are being offered. What we have submitted here is that we are calling for a holistic review to be taking into account all services that are being provided, not just satellite, because if you review in a piecemeal format, you are actually giving advantage to other services that are actually competing with terrestrial services. We welcome that there is a thinking of reviewing, but however, with the process of the approach, that's what we are not agreeing to, because it might tilt the market and give others an advantage over the other. While if you're looking at the holistic review, looking all use of spectrum, especially for commercial basis, if you want to reduce the fees, reduce for all of them. As you know, telecommunication service providers, the network providers that we represent, they have burdensome obligations, spectrum obligations, network coverage that they have to comply to. There is a universal service obligations. There's a funds that they are paying into. There is, when you're going through the ECA process, ECNS license, you have also to have local shareholding of 30%. Therefore, if you have a specific licenses that doesn't consider all of that, you are actually advantaging the other players in the market.
How important is it that we really get it right in terms of the economy of the country? I know very well that you're talking about the ICT sector that is evolving. We hear others even talking about the fourth, fifth industrial revolution in terms of how things have moved, and the synchronity in terms of how then we find all of these players able to also play out globally in line with other players. How do we see this coming through for the economy and positioning them to also get access to these markets globally?
You see, Katlego, the ICT industry is a very important sector, if I can state that, because it is a catalyst to other sectors as well in terms of agriculture, manufacturing, you introducing 5G to the manufacturing space. When you're looking at the education, the health sector, there's a lot of development that are actually coming through. So we need a holistic review to ensure that we put in the digital economy at the center of our economic development, because we know that in terms of job creation, the challenges that South Africa faces requires that we do more than just like a piecemeal. We need to actually able to review this impactful, this engine driver of the economy to be able to create the jobs that we need, to be able to create the opportunities that we need.